Absolutely. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What moves have you made personally with this changes in COVID with regards to how
Yeah.
how you're adapting to the situation so
Yeah.
that you can best leverage what's happening?
So like I said before, that the recession comes along every 10 years or so, right? Roughly, right? 87, 97, 2007, 2008, and then obviously 2020. Whether next one will be 2030, we don't know. Might be 2027, right? Who knows? Or maybe 2025, right? But the key thing is, like, I prepare for recession. Obviously, nobody foresee COVID, right? I didn't foresee COVID, but I knew recession was coming a year ago. So I just don't know when and what the trigger is. And the thing is, recession always happens because you can't see the trigger. That's the point. You're not supposed to see it, because if you're supposed to see it, there won't be a recession. You see, so it always catches people by surprise, right? So I prepare for winter. I always use the analogy of winter, right? Seasons, right? I prepared for winter 5 years ago. Max, basically I have I always recommend that, look, if you rent is my rental gross income, right? Before the expenses is about 300 something thousand, right? So that means I prefer to have 1 year's income as a revolving credit facility, like overdraft.
I see.
Right, I don't want to use it because the interest rates are high, but it's just a backup plan. And you want to have multiple backup plans. Also got savings too, and then
Explain to me that concept of and people who don't know the concept of revolving credit. What is that?
Revolving credit is like, for example, if you got a property, let's just say $1 million property. Let's just say you got no mortgage. If you apply and the bank give it to you, let's just say 200,000 revolving credit. It's like a credit card,
right?
Except it's mortgage against your house. Right?
Gotcha.
So if you need it, you can withdraw money from it. That's what essentially what. Just look at it as a big, just a big credit card, secure against your house.
Secure against your house.
Yeah. So if you don't have a house, you're not going to get an overdraft. Right. Well, there's business overdraft too, but that's a different story. Yeah. So having an overdraft is that obviously the bank can take away the overdraft as well. But generally, especially now, it's not happening. Majority of the time, the bank won't touch you as long as you pay the mortgage. So for example, if you got an overdraft and you got some savings, naturally if you lose your job in COVID or whatever, you obviously dip into your savings first. You make sure you pay the mortgage on the bank, right? Because if you don't do that, there's an alarm, the system itself, the bank will pick it up, and then you'll be in trouble, right? So pay it off. If you run out of savings, then obviously you go into overdraft. But the key thing is you have enough in the overdraft to allow you to survive through winter. By the spring comes, you have your job back, wherever, you'll be fine, right? Obviously, you got an overdraft, and you have to pay down the interest, the overdraft. But usually, interest is halved after a recession, right? So that will make it easier as well. But the key is to have those contingencies. Ideally, obviously have an overdraft if you have a home, or at least have or have savings, and also recession-proof your job, right? But for me, I used to run a renovation business for the last 2-3 years, and I saw recession was coming, and I didn't really enjoy renovations because some clients are Toyota drivers, Daihatsu drivers, and they're not willing to pay Mercedes. You know what I mean?
They're Toyota drivers and they want Mercedes products.
Yeah, that's right. So I didn't. It wasn't something I wanted to enjoy doing anymore. So and then at the same time, in early 2019. I knew recession was coming, right? Because you can see the stocks in
I watched your videos back in 2018. You were talking about the stock markets, and you're like,
I was concerned 2018, but 2019 I saw, hey, my renovation business is not going anywhere. Hey, I'd rather focus on coaching. That's what I enjoy. Teach people financial freedom and all that through property. And then I went back to a job,
right?
Because I knew that's the best place to be. And now I work in a bank as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm both employee, investor, and a entrepreneur. The rich dad poor dad cash flow quadrant. I'm in all four.
You're in all four right now. Because you run businesses, you're self-employed, but you're also an investor, and you're also...
Yeah, well, I'm not really the business. Robert Kiyosaki talks about business being 500 employees, so I'm not really that kind of person. I'm always going to be self-employed. I don't want to hire people. So I don't need to,
Especially when you're in property.
Yeah.
Why did you go back to the bank?
Well,
Had you worked in a bank before?
No.
You hadn't worked in a bank before?
No.
You got a job at a bank?
Yeah. Like I said before, like I'm really undisciplined. I'm like my dad, That's why I wish if I joined the army or that, right?
Yeah.
So I find that once I achieve financial freedom, that's what I thought it was. Obviously I quit my engineering job. Right, I started my own business, etc. Right. But I find out I was spending a lot of time at home. And I was watching a lot of YouTube. I was doing a lot.
So you're financially free, but you're spending a lot of time at home watching a lot of YouTube.
Or doing movies and whatnot, right? Things that are not really productive.
Living the dream, as they say.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it got boring. You see?
Yeah.
There was no challenge, right? There was no goal. I was like a rudderless boat.
Right.
Like for example, like the classic example I use is like Tyson Fury, right?
Yeah.
The heavyweight boxer champion, right? After his goal solely was to get the championship, right? To be the best boxer in the world.
Right.
Now, once he done, you can Google it; it's well documented. Once he done it, he became depressed. Wow. Why? Because he didn't have that next goal. You see, and that's how I felt. I didn't have the next goal. I didn't have the next challenge.
I think the same thing happened to Michael Phelps as well.
So I walked to the top of a peak, from in terms of civil engineering career, and then I walked to the top of the peak of the renovation business. Right, and then obviously I was lost because there was nowhere else to go. I didn't want to take it further either. So I need to find a different path. And because I'm not really disciplined, and at the same time I want something challenging and something to do. So basically I set up rules to confine me. You know what I mean? I felt
structure you
at the time. I've been living in a fishbowl all my life. You know what I mean? You got surroundings that control you.
Yes.
Sometimes too much freedom is actually not good.
It's not good.
No, it's not good at all.
Completely. Yes.
That's why I understand. That's why I understand totally. Like Hollywood stars and whatnot get depressed, go to drugs and all that. Yeah. Because when they're rich and famous and whatnot, if they don't have that next goal, they get lost. They're gonna do stupid shit.
If you don't build the boundaries, the walls of
that's right.
What your boundaries
like for example, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Success, highly successful people, right? I can never read that book because I'm just not that kind of guy.
Yeah. It is a very hard book to read. It has a lot of deep, very deep concepts.
I used to be a sales coach. I teach people about timekeeping and booking your calendar and all that. I do none of that. I'm just not that. I'm just not an organized guy at all.
Right.
I'm surprised how well I've done it probably, given the circumstances. But I guess enough pain will drive you to achieve it, right? Anyways, and then I thought that hey, because my work wife still works, she doesn't have big dreams or whatnot, She just want to be like a routine, And then at the time, because I've been fishing the ocean for so long, I actually wants that routine, And then I thought, recession is coming, but renovation is not business is not going to go anywhere. At the same time, I want that routine because my in-laws live with us, right? And every time I'm in front of the computer, they think I'm playing games and not doing work.
They want me like you're doing something.
Their version of the hard work is getting out of the house early in the morning and come back at night, right? So I thought, so I was sick of the ocean, essentially, too much freedom. So I want to find a place where I'm happy, right? I want to find the next challenge, and at the same time having some boundaries to restrict me in some of the ways, And so, hey, going back to a job is actually not a bad idea.
I think, challenges and the accumulation of goals makes you happy.
Yeah, and I'm not giving up on property. I'm not giving up on my coaching either. So I've all got over that, and then luckily, one of the big banks was happy to take me on.
Awesome, and what a great place to work in because now you're in the know.
Oh, I'm so glad that I've got a job like in a bank, especially during COVID.
It's such an integral part of the entire process of what's happening.
And also I learned different things in the bank. You can see things that people don't see, investors don't see. I can see policies change as COVID came and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's great, fantastic. And I have a goal of trying to double my income in the bank in 5 years. That's probably not going to be that easy because of obviously politics and. But sometimes life is fun when the outcome of your success depends on other people. I mean, it sounds crazy.
See, I don't think I completely understand what you're saying when you say because for me, the outcome is I control all of my activity.
As an entrepreneur, that's exactly what is supposed to happen. You're supposed to in charge of every 100% of your thing, right? But when you're in career, right, when you work for somebody else. It doesn't matter how well you do. Sometimes it's about Sometimes it can be internal politics. It can be who you know, not what you know, that kind of stuff. So when you're working in a team, your individual success depends on other people. And actually business as well.
Business as well.
Business as well. Your success depends on your client success.
Exactly.
As a property coach, if all my clients lose money, doesn't matter if I got a $10 million portfolio, $100 billion portfolio, I'll be a bad coach.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I guess what
the key thing is like for people that don't have financial freedom, your immediate goal should be heading towards financial freedom, right? Yeah. Once you've got the financial freedom, then obviously financial freedom brings time freedom.
Time freedom is
personal
essentially
freedom, right? And then obviously, that's why I started investing myself in personal development and stuff, because all that suddenly all that time freedom, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So many people on the other side of that, on the other side of that wheel, man. They're just like, I need to get, I need. Their problems are, I'm trying to save up for a house. I don't want to buy it. The interest rates are too high, or I don't want to pay. I don't want to get locked into a mortgage, locked into debt. These are the mindsets that people who come from.
Yeah. Or they think that now house prices can't double again. Or things like that. But they have to understand that human nature has not really changed for the last 5,000-10,000 years.
10,000, 500, hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah. So our desires and whatnot is still the same. Our subconscious mind, hasn't really evolved that much in the last 5,000 years of civilization. It's just the way the environment we're in have changed and then constantly changing, but the underlying desires have not changed. Right? I mean, that's what fascinates me. Because and then that's why property doesn't really fascinate me anymore, because I've done it.
You've done it. Are you much into personal development in terms of the historical nature of it?
That's something I want to go back to as well. Is that look, if people think that property prices won't double again, just look at back history.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Look back history, and also the key thing is understand the game, the rules of the game, because the history is a symptom, right? If you look at disease or whatnot, right, the cause is the rules of the game. If you understand the rules of the game, then you know the cause and the effect. So the effect is history. History is like a symptom,
It's
right?
what played out.
That's right. For example, if I got a lamp, right, I turn on the lamp, then the lamp is on. What you see is the lights, right?
That's the effect.
That's the effect. But what was the cause? Because I flipped the switch on. And how come it still went on? Because there's electricity. There's light bulbs. You know what I mean? Now, those are the rules of the game that I'm talking about. And majority of people don't understand it. That's why they've been played, right? Rather than playing the game, they've been played by the game.
By the game, yeah.
That's why people are in the rat race, because they don't understand the game. For example, the mice, they probably never care about or concerned about the wheel. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not a mouse, but it'd be fun to ask.
What about the mouse who figures out I'm in a wheel?
Well, I don't know. I don't think mouse will have got that IQ high enough. I would say, actually, that's a perfect analogy. I would say the people who become successful are the ones that are not happy with where they are.
So you have to want to change your situation. You have to get that pleasure pain principle, right? You have to
pain and pleasure. That's all about. Humans are driven by pain and pleasure. For example, if I got a needle and poke you in that hand, right? There will only be a certain time until you think, man, Gary, this asshole, you start walk away and don't want to be friends with me. Pain and pleasure, right? For example, if I stack $100 bill on the table and say, hey, CJ, I'm going to stab you on your hand with a knife, right? Maybe, $100 not enough. Okay, make it 100,000, right? There's always a price.
There's always a price.
No, I mean that was what it might mean, right? But the thing is, there's eventually you just won't do it, no matter how much money, because the pain is too great than the reward. Humans by study we're 70% more inclined to walk away from the pain than pleasure. That's why people in divorces don't do very well, because what happens is that they get into those arguments turn into a pain, where they will do whatever it is to end the relationship, even though it's a financial disaster.
Absolutely.
Because the pain of remaining that situation. I mean, there are plenty of examples, but that's the same. What I'm talking about, human behavior has not evolved in the last 5,000, 10,000 years. We're still driven by those behaviors. You can look up Tony Robbins, 6 human needs or whatnot.
That's right. Certainty, uncertainty, significance.
Love, connection, and feeling and growth. Right? And and I wasn't feeling any growth at all.
Right. That's what you were missing.
And I had too much certainty. Right? Everything was
because rent's paid on
predictable.
Because the rent's paid on time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have financial worries. When you don't have worries, you start worrying about not having worries. The humans are such interesting. We're so interesting creatures. Well, even if you look at zoo animals, if the zoo enclosure, that's why the zoos always want to make the zoo enclosures more interesting for the animals, because they get depressed too if they're bored enough.
Because they don't push themselves enough.
That's right.
I like how you've sort of like taken this whole situation with COVID, like the season of our economy, and looked at it like, you have to prepare for what's coming. You have to understand the rules of the game. You have to read the play, and then you have to make your moves and pull the trigger. And I think that's kind of where most people are. That is the fundamental sort of underlying issue for most people, is they're trying to figure out exactly the right thing, but it's you need to take a step back and sort of observe what's going on and go, okay, here's what my plan is. This is my strategy. I'm going to go and buy 2 properties at 4% in these areas with these rental incomes.
I think the key is really to decide that hey, you want to achieve financial freedom. Right? So you can do it different ways. You can invest in stocks, you invest in property, but at least choose one and commit to it. Right? Look at the research or read all the books on pros and cons of it. How fast can you get there? And then just commit to it if you think that's the one. Obviously, talk to experienced people who have done it before. Right?
So when you coach people, how do you sort of what does that look like? What does that process look like? Do you consult them? Do you look for properties for them?
No, I don't look for them.
Okay.
No, because if I look for them, I'll give them a fish. They don't know how to fish.
They don't know how to fish.
Actually, that's very hard. Because I've been conditioned to teach people. That's how my coach taught me, right? So the thing is, that's the difference between teacher and the coach. When you're a teacher in member school, the teacher just tells you stuff, tell you to do this and do that, but they don't explain why, right?
Yes.
They don't explain why. So
which is why I did so terribly in school.
Well, and also, doing well doesn't mean shit, actually, because the real world is different, right? So you got to be able to, because the thing that I talk about, market conditions always change, economy always change, right? So if you only be taught to do certain way, right? If you don't ask enough questions of why is these things are happening, right? You'll be conditioned to that old way of thinking. You're not going to be able to adapt and evolve.
It's such a critical moment, isn't it?
Why are humans top of the food chain compared to say a monkey? Even though we're 99.9% DNA the same, you know what I mean? Because we think.
Logic.
We think. Logic, but emotionally as well. We're driven by emotion, right? And that's really the paradox, is that we like to think that we're logical, but no, 99% of the time we're all emotional. So it's all understanding what this emotional is. That's understanding the rules of the game as well. But for people that they need to decide that they need to work hard, save hard, work smart, invest smart.
Very interesting, because you've started at 9 to 5, and then you've built yourself a property portfolio. You've lost money. You've fallen into the pitfalls of property, and
luckily I made more money than I lost.
You made more money than you lost, and $10 million portfolio, and went back to a 9 to 5. Working at a bank, so that you challenge yourself. And you bring structure to your life.
And that's what I chose to do.
And that's
for most people, the thing is, there's nothing wrong with working a job or in business. The key is making enough money to allow you to invest more. And then by the time you have got enough assets, enough passive income, you can choose whatever you like to do. And that's the key. That's the most important part of investing. Financial freedom is to have the choice. Right? Have the choice to be able to choose what you want to do.
Exactly. That's true freedom. And that's pretty much what we work for.